The wind tore across the endless white plains, howling like a living creature. Ice stretched as far as the eye could see, broken only by jagged ridges and hidden crevices. A small team of scientists trudged forward, their boots sinking into the hard-packed snow with every step. Above them, the sky was a pale gray, and the sun hung weakly, unable to warm the frozen land. Among the team was Ethan Rourke, a young human mechanic with a reputation for fixing things no one else could. He wore a thick parka over his weathered clothes, and his eyes shone with curiosity and intelligence. While others focused on maps and sensors, Ethan walked slowly, examining the ice with the careful attention of someone who noticed the details others overlooked. "Another day, another mile of nothing," muttered Dr. Helena Voss, the expedition leader, her voice muffled under her hood. She scanned her instruments, tracking a faint anomaly beneath the ice. "But the readings here, they're not normal. Keep your eyes open, everyone." Ethan crouched beside her, brushing snow away from a strange indentation in the ice. It was perfectly circular, unlike anything he had seen before. "Looks deliberate," he said, running his gloved hand along the smooth edge. "Not natural, something under here." Helena nodded slowly. "Exactly what I was thinking. This isn't just ice and rock. Our scanners picked up something huge, hidden deep beneath the surface. If this is what I hope it is, it could change everything we know about the universe." Ethan's heart thudded in his chest. He had repaired engines and machines that seemed impossible to understand, but nothing had ever felt like this. Something about this place, this ice, and the energy they had sensed, it whispered of a presence older than humanity itself. Hours passed as the team worked carefully. They drilled through the upper layers of ice, melting patches with precise heat tools to avoid damaging whatever lay beneath. The sun sank lower, casting long shadows across the glimmering snow. Finally, their efforts revealed the top of a massive structure. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. Smooth, metallic, and reflecting the pale sunlight, the surface shimmered with faint patterns that seemed almost alive. The shapes were not random. They formed intricate symbols and lines, a language that no human had ever learned. Ethan's breath caught. He circled the exposed section, running his fingers lightly over the cold metal. "This isn't from here," he said softly. "No way humans or even animals made this. This is alien." The team exchanged excited and anxious glances. Helena's voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed her awe. "We need to document everything. Sensors, cameras, the works. This is the find of the century." For days, the scientists worked around the clock. They drilled further, exposing more of the ship. It rose from the ice like a sleeping giant, a sleek, elongated vessel with no visible seams, no windows, and no recognizable entrance. The metal was unlike steel or titanium. It had a subtle glow and seemed to shift colors depending on the angle of light. Ethan studied the surface, running his hands over the strange markings. "There's some kind of pattern," he said, "not just decoration. Maybe it's a system like a circuit. If I could get inside, I might understand how it works." Helena frowned. "Inside?" "Ethan, we don't even know if it's safe. This could be dangerous. Remember what we saw in the readings: energy spikes, magnetic fields. Anything could happen if we disturb it." But Ethan's curiosity was unstoppable. He had spent his life solving impossible problems, repairing machines that others said were broken beyond repair. And now, here was the ultimate challenge. A machine not built by humans, frozen for centuries, waiting for someone who could understand it. Late one night, while the rest of the team slept in their tents, Ethan returned to the edge of the excavation. He knelt beside a small opening in the ice that had revealed part of the ship's hull. "Just a quick look," he whispered to himself. He tapped his tools gently against the metal, listening. There was a faint hum, a vibration almost like a heartbeat. He traced the edges of the strange symbols, pressing lightly on certain areas. Suddenly, a small section of the hull glowed brighter, almost responding to his touch. Ethan froze. The glow spread along the lines, forming shapes that resembled a map of stars. His pulse quickened. "What the?" he whispered. The ship was responding. Not violently, not aggressively, almost curiously. The next morning, Ethan showed Helena the readings. "Look at this," he said, pointing to the patterns. "It's not random. The ship, it's trying to communicate, or maybe it's alive in a way we can't understand yet." Helena examined the data carefully. "If that's true, it changes everything. We've discovered a life form, but not biological. Mechanical, yes, but intelligent. And it's been waiting here in the ice for centuries." The realization weighed heavily on the team. Other nations and corporations would stop at nothing to claim this discovery. Already, news had leaked of the find, and the world was watching. Some called it humanity's greatest achievement. Others feared it was a warning. Perhaps humans were not ready for this kind of technology. Ethan, however, could not focus on fear. He focused on the challenge. He spent hours examining the ship's hull, mapping the lines, studying the vibrations, and testing his tools. He discovered small panels that could be gently lifted, revealing inner circuits that glowed with energy. He worked carefully, understanding that one wrong move could trigger unknown consequences. One afternoon, after weeks of observation, Ethan tried something daring. He adjusted a minor energy conduit, reconnecting it in a way he thought would stabilize the internal systems. The lights along the hull pulsed brighter and the humming grew louder. Then, for a moment, the ship seemed to breathe. A low resonance traveled through the ice, and the patterns on the hull shifted into new formations, almost like symbols of welcome. The scientists gasped. Helena's voice trembled. It responded. "Ethan, you actually did something, but be careful. We don't know what else this could trigger." Ethan nodded, feeling both fear and exhilaration. For the first time, he realized the ship was not just metal. It was a machine with purpose, intelligence, and perhaps memory. And it had been waiting for someone who could awaken it. That night, Ethan lay in his tent, staring at the ceiling. He could still see the glow of the ship through the thin walls of the camp. His mind raced with questions. Who built this? Why was it here? And most importantly, what would it do when fully awake? Outside, the wind howled across the ice, carrying the echoes of something ancient and powerful. The ship lay silent again, as if watching, waiting. But now, thanks to Ethan, the first connections had been made. The frozen giant was stirring, and the world would never be the same. Days later, the team discovered that small changes inside the ship caused subtle environmental effects outside. Snow patterns shifted strangely. Magnetic compasses spun erratically. Even the auroras overhead danced in unusual colors. The ship was awakening slowly, responding to human presence, to human ingenuity. Ethan realized that this was more than a machine. It was a test. A challenge left by beings far more advanced than humans, waiting to see who was clever, brave, and thoughtful enough to interact with it. And the more he worked, the more he understood. The ship was teaching him. Each adjustment, each minor repair, was a lesson in alien engineering far beyond anything humanity had ever known. As night fell again, the frozen plains were quiet, but the hum of the ship echoed softly through the ice. Ethan placed his hand against the hull, feeling the pulse of energy beneath the surface. It was steady now, as if acknowledging him, as if recognizing that humans were not just fragile creatures of flesh and bone. They were thinkers, problem solvers, builders. For the first time in centuries, the alien ship was not alone, and humanity, in the form of a curious, determined mechanic, had begun a story that would reach far beyond the frozen wasteland. Ethan smiled to himself, a spark of excitement lighting his eyes. "We're just getting started," he whispered. The morning sun reflected off the endless ice, casting a pale light over the excavation site. The alien ship lay partially exposed, its metallic surface glinting faintly. To the human eye, it looked still, silent, almost lifeless. But Ethan Rourke knew better. The ship had responded to him the night before, and now the pulse of its energy seemed stronger, almost like it was watching, waiting. Ethan walked toward the hull, carrying a small tool kit and a portable scanner. The other scientists were busy recording measurements, debating over readings, and cautiously discussing the implications of their discovery. Many of them admired Ethan's work, but some feared it. To them, he was reckless, tinkering with a machine built by a civilization far older and more advanced than humans. But Ethan ignored their caution. Curiosity was his strongest drive, and he believed that understanding this ship required more than instruments. It required human thinking, human intuition. He knelt beside a glowing panel he had unlocked the night before. Light shimmered beneath the alien symbols, and he could feel the soft vibration of energy beneath his fingertips. The patterns moved slightly when he touched them, rearranging into new shapes that he could not fully comprehend. "Ethan," Helena called from a distance, "be careful. The energy spikes are increasing. Don't push too far." Ethan glanced at her, then at the glowing panel. "I have to try," he said. "This is more than metal. This is alive in its own way, and it's trying to communicate." With precise movements, he adjusted several conduits, reconnecting them in a new pattern. The ship responded immediately. The glow intensified, casting strange shadows across the ice. A soft hum filled the air, resonating through the ground, through their bones, through the very air itself. Then something extraordinary happened. A small section of the hull opened silently, revealing a passageway inside the ship. It was narrow but clearly designed for intelligent beings, tall, elegant, with walls that pulsed faintly with energy. Ethan's eyes widened. We can go in," he said, his voice trembling with excitement. Helena approached slowly. "This is unprecedented. We don't know if it's safe. The ship could react unpredictably, but if we want to understand it, someone has to go inside." Ethan nodded. "I'll go first. I know the systems better than anyone. I can read the energy, feel its responses." Helena sighed but knew she could not stop him. "All right, but take a team with you, carefully. And remember, we are observers. We are guests in something far older than humanity." Ethan led a small team into the passageway. The interior was unlike anything humans had built. Smooth, seamless walls glowed faintly in shifting colors, and the floor seemed almost liquid, adjusting slightly under their weight. Strange symbols floated in the air, rotating slowly, forming patterns that suggested meaning, but meaning that human minds could barely grasp. As they moved deeper, the hum of the ship grew louder. Ethan realized it was not just sound. It was data, encoded in vibrations, energy waves, and light. He could feel it in his bones, almost like a language his mind could begin to understand intuitively. At the center of the chamber, a large console glowed brightly. It was unlike any computer or machine he had seen. There were no buttons, no screens, no physical controls, only energy patterns that responded to thought and touch. Ethan approached it carefully, placing his hands near the glowing surface. The ship pulsed in response, forming a projection in midair. Stars, planets, and intricate geometries appeared, rotating slowly, showing systems and civilizations that Ethan could not even name. He realized with a thrill he could barely contain that the ship was showing him maps, star maps, travel routes, and data about distant worlds. "This is incredible," whispered one of the scientists, standing behind him. "This is knowledge beyond anything we've imagined." Ethan focused, feeling a connection with the ship. Slowly, he realized it responded not just to touch, but to his way of thinking. When he solved a small problem, when he adjusted a circuit in a logical but creative way, the ship shifted its patterns, revealing new information. "It's learning from us," he said, "or testing us. I think it's evaluating human intelligence, our approach to problem solving." Helena frowned. "Evaluating? You mean it's alive, conscious in some sense?" Ethan nodded. I don't know exactly, but it's aware of us. And I think it's trying to see if humans are worthy of its knowledge. As the days passed, the team worked carefully inside the ship. Every adjustment, every repair, revealed more of its secrets. The alien technology was far beyond human comprehension, but it also responded specifically to human thinking. Where machines or automated tools failed, human ingenuity succeeded. Where a straight application of logic caused errors, creative thinking unlocked new pathways. One morning, an unexpected event occurred. A sudden surge of energy pulsed through the ship, knocking several team members off balance. Lights flickered, and the walls shifted slightly, creating new corridors and chambers. It was as if the ship was adapting, testing their reactions, challenging them. Ethan realized the ship was more than a repository of knowledge. It was a living system designed to interact with intelligent beings. It could learn, adapt, and respond. And it seemed to recognize human creativity as something special. This is beyond anything we imagined, Helena said, holding a scanner carefully. Other civilizations might have failed this test, but humans are unique. Our unpredictability, our curiosity, our willingness to take risks, it resonates with the ship. Ethan smiled, but he felt a weight on his shoulders. The responsibility was immense. They were not just exploring a machine. They were engaging with something that could alter the future of humanity. Over the next few days, the ship began to reveal its history. Holographic projections displayed a vast star system, worlds rich with life, and a civilization of explorers who had traveled the galaxy centuries ago. Their technology was far advanced, capable of interstellar travel, creating energy from pure thought, and manipulating matter in ways humans could barely imagine. But something had gone wrong. The projections showed the alien ship crashing on Earth, its crew frozen in suspended animation, the vessel buried in ice to preserve itself until someone intelligent enough could repair it. Ethan realized that humanity was that chance, the first species to awaken the ship in centuries. Excitement and fear mixed within the team. Governments and organizations around the world would undoubtedly want this technology. Some scientists feared humanity might not be ready for such power, but Ethan understood something fundamental. The ship did not give knowledge freely. It was a test, and humans had begun to pass it through courage, ingenuity, and ethical thinking. One evening, while studying a chamber filled with glowing spheres and floating geometries, Ethan made another discovery. The ship could not only display data, it could create environments. Small holographic worlds appeared inside the chambers, simulating alien landscapes, planets, and civilizations. They were teaching tools, showing how to think, how to solve problems, and how to survive in ways humans had never imagined. He realized the ship was preparing them for something larger. Humanity was being tested not for conquest, not for power, but for understanding. The aliens had designed a challenge for intelligent beings, and now humans were rising to meet it. But the awakening was not without danger. A misstep in one chamber caused a temporary feedback loop, sending a surge of energy through the walls. Lights flashed, and the team was forced to retreat. The ship had power beyond anything humans could control fully, and mistakes could be deadly. Ethan understood that their success depended not just on courage, but on precision, patience, and teamwork. Each day, the connection grew stronger. Ethan could sense subtle responses from the ship, vibrations in the ice, changes in the lights, small shifts in the holographic projections. It was learning from them as they learned from it. And every time they solved a problem, the ship revealed a little more of its vast knowledge. At night, when the team rested in their tents outside, Ethan would stare at the glowing hull, feeling a sense of awe. This machine was not just alien technology. It was a testament to intelligence, creativity, and perseverance. Humanity, in the form of a single mechanic and a team of curious scientists, had begun a dialogue with a civilization far older and wiser than themselves. He smiled faintly, thinking of the stars. One day, humanity might walk among them, not as conquerors but as learners, explorers, and thinkers. The ship was their first step, their first bridge to the wider universe. And it had chosen them because humans were clever, courageous, and willing to reach beyond what they knew. As the ice winds howled outside, the alien ship pulsed softly, a rhythm of recognition and awakening. And humanity, for the first time in centuries, was beginning to understand that the universe held challenges not meant to destroy them, but to inspire them. Ethan placed his hand lightly on the hull, feeling its energy hum through his body. "We're ready," he whispered. "We'll learn, we'll grow, and we'll prove that humans belong among the stars." The ship responded with a brighter pulse, almost like a heartbeat, echoing through the frozen wasteland. It was the sound of awakening, of trust, and of a partnership that would change the future of humanity forever. The ice winds had calmed, leaving a quiet, crisp morning across the frozen plains. The alien ship stood exposed and awake, its metal gleaming faintly in the pale sun. To the human team, it was no longer just a machine. It was a bridge to a universe they had only dreamed of. Ethan Rourke adjusted his tools one last time before entering the ship. Over the past weeks, he and his team had repaired circuits, deciphered alien symbols, and learned to read the pulsing energy that coursed through the hull. Each repair, each adjustment, had brought them closer to understanding the ship. But today they were taking the next step, full entry. "Are we ready?" Helena asked, standing at the entrance. She held a portable scanner and looked at Ethan with a mixture of trust and concern. "Remember, we are guests here. The ship is not ours, it chooses who interacts with it." Ethan nodded. "I know, but it has responded to humans. It's curious about us, about what we can do. That's our advantage." The team entered the ship together. The passageway glowed with energy, adapting to their movements. Walls shifted slightly, guiding them forward, while symbols in the air rotated to form new patterns. Every step they took was met with subtle responses, as if the ship was testing them, learning from their actions. At the center of the ship lay the control chamber, a large open space filled with floating energy forms and holographic projections. At first, the team could barely understand the displays. Star systems they had never seen, alien geometries, and sequences of symbols that seemed to convey knowledge rather than language. Ethan stepped forward, placing his hands near a glowing console. Unlike a human machine, this one responded to thought, touch, and intuition. Slowly, he moved his fingers along the energy patterns, aligning circuits, reconnecting pathways, and solving problems the ship presented. The ship pulsed, brighter and stronger than before. Then a new projection appeared, a humanoid figure made of light and energy. Its form was elegant, alien, and yet familiar enough to suggest intelligence and awareness. Ethan felt a thrill of awe. "It's alive," he whispered. "Not in the way we think of life, but aware, conscious, and intelligent." The figure's voice echoed in their minds, calm and melodic. "Welcome, humans. You have awakened the vessel and proven your curiosity, courage, and intelligence. You are the first of your kind to reach this stage." The team froze. They had expected knowledge, star maps, and technology, but not a sentient being, even a digital one. Helena stepped forward carefully. "We mean no harm. We seek understanding and friendship." The figure's form shifted, projecting a holographic representation of a distant star system. Many civilizations have tried to awaken the ship. Most failed. They lacked creativity, adaptability, and moral awareness. You, however, demonstrate qualities we value highly. Intelligence alone is not enough. You have shown wisdom and courage. Ethan's heart pounded. This was more than discovery. Humanity had passed the first real test in the cosmos. The ship then presented a challenge, subtle but clear. Holographic pathways opened, forming complex patterns. Symbols shifted dynamically, creating a puzzle that required not just logic but intuition, creativity, and collaboration. The team worked together, combining their strengths. Where one faltered, another saw a solution. Ethan guided the process, using his knowledge of mechanical systems to interpret the energy patterns. Slowly, they aligned the circuits and symbols correctly. The ship pulsed brightly, sending waves of energy through the chamber. A soft hum filled the air, resonating through the ice outside, carrying signals far beyond Earth. The alien figure spoke again. "You have passed the next stage. Your collaboration, problem-solving, and adaptability are exceptional. You may now access the ship fully." Ethan smiled, feeling both pride and humility. They had not conquered the ship, they had earned its trust. Over the next days, the team explored the inner chambers. The ship revealed more of its knowledge. Methods of energy creation, travel faster than light, planetary resource management, and simulations of civilizations across the galaxy. But it was not just technology. It showed philosophies, histories, and ethical frameworks of the alien civilization, teaching humanity not only how to use power, but how to use it wisely. The more they learned, the more Ethan realized the uniqueness of humans. Other civilizations, he thought, might have had similar tools, but humans were different. Unpredictable, creative, compassionate, and daring. Where machines or rigid thinkers failed, humans succeeded. Their curiosity, courage, and collaboration allowed them to unlock the ship's secrets step by step. One afternoon, while exploring a chamber filled with floating holographic worlds, Ethan discovered a small projection showing Earth from above. Tiny symbols represented human activity across the planet, subtly highlighting cooperation, ingenuity, and moments of ethical choice. "The ship is observing us," Helena said softly. "It sees not just our actions here, but our potential as a species." Ethan nodded. "It's teaching us, preparing us. I think it's not just about repair, it's about readiness. We are being shown how to step into the galaxy responsibly." As the days progressed, the ship began creating a stable portal, a small gateway that could link to other star systems. It was controlled by thought and intention, guided by the team's creativity and ethical choices. Ethan realized that this was the culmination of the ship's evaluation. Humans were now ready to take their first steps into interstellar contact. The alien figure spoke again. "You have demonstrated the qualities necessary to explore the universe. Your species is young, yet remarkable. You possess ingenuity, resilience, and moral awareness. These traits make you suitable partners in a larger cosmic community." Ethan's eyes widened. Humanity, the young species of Earth, had earned recognition not through strength or dominance, but through intelligence, courage, and ethical thinking. The team prepared for the first test beyond Earth. The portal shimmered, showing a distant system rich with planets, moons, and signs of life. The ship guided them step by step, ensuring safety and clarity. For the first time, humans would leave their home planet not as conquerors, but as explorers, learners, and participants in a larger interstellar network. Ethan looked around at his team. They were tired, wary, and exhilarated. They had faced unknown challenges, learned alien systems, and earned the trust of a civilization far older than their own. And now, they were about to take humanity into a new era. "Are we ready?" Helena asked. Ethan placed his hand lightly on the energy panel, feeling the pulse of the ship. "We're ready, not because we are the strongest or the fastest or the most advanced, but because we are human, curious, clever, and brave enough to reach beyond the known." The alien figure pulsed with light, a silent acknowledgement of humanity's achievement. "Proceed, humans. Learn, explore, and grow. The galaxy awaits you. Remember that knowledge comes with responsibility. You are the first of your kind to earn this path. Use it wisely." The team stepped forward, passing through the shimmering portal. A new universe unfolded before them, stars, planets, and possibilities beyond imagination. Ethan felt a thrill unlike anything he had ever experienced. They were not alone. They were no longer earthbound. And their success had been earned not through power, but through ingenuity, courage, and ethics, the qualities that made humans remarkable. As the ship followed them, gently guiding their journey, Ethan looked back toward Earth. The frozen plains, the icy winds, and the buried secrets were now behind them. Ahead lay infinite stars, mysteries, and discoveries. But humanity had proven something crucial, that even a young species, when clever, brave, and thoughtful, could rise to challenges, earn trust, and step boldly into the cosmos. And in that moment, standing at the edge of the portal, Ethan realized that the adventure had only just begun. Humanity was no longer just a species of Earth. They were explorers, learners, and a force of ingenuity ready to leave their mark among the stars. The alien ship pulsed softly behind them, a constant presence, a teacher, and a guide. And as the first humans stepped into the unknown, they carried with them the greatest lesson of all, that intelligence, courage, and ethical choice were the true markers of greatness, far more than strength or weaponry ever could be. The stars awaited. And humanity, with all its flaws and brilliance, was finally ready.